Good afternoon and welcome to the regularly scheduled October 7th, 2000.
Dear Lord, thank you for this.
Sorry.
Thank you for this wonderful day that we have here, and for the future fall weather and cool weather and rain that we know is coming, thanks to your grace. And dear God, let us see as you see, and let us love as you love, and let us do as you do. Give us the strength and the courage to follow. Yeah, I'll make a motion
Okay.
that we approve the consent agenda as written.
Second. Have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item is regular agenda. Consider approval of an ordinance of the City of Nacogdoches amending Chapter 82, Solid Waste, and Appendix A, Master Fee Schedule of the Nacogdoches Code of Ordinances relative to sanitation collection and disposal fees, providing a severability clause, providing a continuation clause, providing a repeal clause, and providing an effective date. Mr. Mike New.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mike New, Executive Director of Development and Infrastructure. This item tonight is a continuation of what Council tabled at the last meeting. We had some additional information that wasn't initially included in our revised rates. I'll cover a little bit of that. And I'll speed through this. This is a lot of the same information, but I wanted to make sure we're sharing that equally in this, since this is an action item for the council tonight. Going back to solid waste utility rates, this is one of the last items on our consultants' agenda that had provided some background research and some recommendations on rate changes for our water and sewer rates, which we've accomplished. These solid waste utility rates, we're looking to apply that change to this fiscal year. We're in, as a reminder for this budget year, this would be the second rate change for our water and sewer rates. Those will be implemented as council has approved, I think about this time last year. And our Capital Needs Advisory Committee did review this back in January and recommended that the proposed rate changes by our consultant were appropriate, and that we consider doing those as quickly as possible, that being this new fiscal year 2026. So what changes are we talking about? A little bit of adjustment where we make the largest change, which is about 4% for our monthly residential rates, and taper that down to about 3% for the last 3 years. All increases, but a smaller percentage increase, just to smooth out those increases and span basically the increases we need to cover our anticipated capital costs and fleet costs, which I'll cover in just a minute, over these next 4 or 5 years. This is typical of enterprise funds. We do this with water and sewer on a regular basis, and we're doing this with solid waste and sanitation. I can't remember, and maybe Case can remind me, it's been a while since we had looked at these. I think 2018 was the last time we'd made those changes. So we are about on schedule to review rate changes based on the needs of our landfill and our solid waste collections. Here's in the disposal rates, here's where we made some adjustments from last meeting to make sure we included additional rates that were not changed in what we had proposed. This was, and we did get confirmation from the consultant, this was actually part of the rate changes they recommended. Those numbers weren't included in the numbers you had looked at before. So what is attached to the agenda shows the highlighted numbers. I think I shared that hard copy with you previously. That is what is included in part of the proposal tonight, all reflective of, and this is a good chart to show, all reflective of those incremental changes from 9% this fiscal year, 5% in 27, and then 3 in 28 and 29. What does that cover? These revenue requirements will cover our anticipated expenditures, not only for regular operations and maintenance, anticipated increases in those, but rolling stock purchases, major capital improvements at the landfill. You've already looked at a couple of those in our permit amendments, trying to expand our footprint at the landfill to cover additional years of capacity. We're hoping to go even larger with that, and and potentially save a good chunk of dollars by making some changes, which we're still in the very early phases of evaluating, to add more footprint and basically air gap capacity to the landfill space. This will allow us to do that, and this does cover our costs to potentially cover those additional expenditures that we're anticipating. What does all that mean? The new rates for this fiscal year would generate an additional $300,000. Here's a simple chart that NewGen had shared at the time they presented back in April, just showing that with these anticipated rate changes, we will get closer to covering our costs almost evenly, and then even a little bit additionally in 2029. We'll reevaluate at that time, if not sooner, based on other changes and anything else that we anticipate might happen with the landfill or with solid waste collections. We don't know what will change between now and 3 or 4 years from now. We're anticipating what it might be, but we'll always look to evaluate this if we have any major changes. What do these updated fees include? Residential and commercial collection rates, of course, front-load dumpster service, roll-off dumpster. What was not included at the last meeting, special waste collections and landfill gate disposal. It was important for us to make sure those are included. That is a big chunk of potential revenue collected at the landfill site, not necessarily by our trucks picking up cans along the road. But if approved, we won't implement these changes until November 1st. We do have to go through a post-action notification process. We'll do that later this month as soon as we can, and then try to basically jump into that bill cycle starting November 1, make a clean break on that, not try to blend in previous bill cycles or anything like that. It's something we had considered, but really, if we just start on November 1, we'll worry about the headache on making sure the bills are right to do that and move forward from there. Once this is approved, we will implement these rate changes. The next rate change would occur on October 1st to meet that schedule in our fiscal year. And that's all I had.
Okay, any discussion?
I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
How is the university part of all these fee schedules, or how is the university? Or I didn't mean to just, I
Well,
know Case knows, so.
I don't think necessarily they are included on some things, like with the construction they're doing, they would be paying a roll-off cost to our landfill. So there are some charges that the university participates in. Our collections, I think we do pick up some services in dumpster collections on and around campus. But one for one, as any other customer, they're a little bit different of a customer in town for us. I don't know all the specifics of that, but they do. It's not like they have their own solid waste collections. They don't have their own landfill. They do participate and provide some revenue to the city for that.
So we don't give it to them?
No.
Thank you.
So what's the percentage of interdepartmental transfers from utility over to just regular government? Do you know that?
I don't have that off of my head. You're talking about just for sanitation?
Or just for all of utilities we keep raising, but aren't we using that to pay for other parts of our government?
Well, so it's because we have staff that our personnel, and I'm speaking for finance here, they're not present, but we do have personnel that those costs are paid through our general fund to all employees. The interfund transfers recoup that cost because of some of the work that's done is committed to serving the enterprise fund operations and management, if that makes sense. So staff that do provide that, those transfers end up reimbursing that cost, if that makes sense. There's probably some other things which our finance folks can probably explain a little bit better, but those transfers essentially cover those costs that simply by means of accounting come out of the general fund. So we're reimbursing those funds to provide those costs in that particular category.
Do they break that down?
We do have that broken down.
Okay.
We do. I think you'll see some of that in our current adopted budget. That's available on our website.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, council?
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Public speaking or nobody?
You have to sign up. You have to sign up?
Oh, well, okay, I'm just asking. He just looked like he was.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody want to make a motion? I will. I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance of the City of Nacogdoches amending Chapter 82 as written. Yes, sir.
Are you gonna ask for comment?
Well, you have to sign up, Sammy, prior to the meeting. We've changed the structure about a year ago. If you wanted to speak, just come on up here. Just come on. And you're allowed 3 minutes.
I don't think this is working, is it?
Well, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep it open. Number one, I'm not against the fee increase for sanitation. But let me show you something. Everybody in here gets one of these. I get 2 of them because I've got an irrigation system. You wanna guess what mine was last month? $470.41. It has been in the past over $500. Well, we keep increasing fees, and I wanna maintain my yard and keep my azaleas alive in the summertime. Happens in July and August. Okay, now I wanna comment on the sanitation fees. Last year, the budget for sanitation was $8,204,900. The budget included for last year an IDT, interdepartmental transfer, of $2,564,960. That's 31% of the revenue in the sanitation fund was transferred to the general fund. This year, beginning October 1, a week ago, revenue is budgeted at $8,862,000 with an IDT of $2,986,244, which is 34% of the revenue. Now here's 2 figures. If y'all got some pencils and you'd like to write these down and make a computation when you get home. In the budget, that's a $657,100 increase in revenue for the sanitation fund. It's a $421,284 increase in the interdepartmental transfer. You divide that, 64% of the new revenue in the transportation fund is not in the sanitation fund, is not going to the sanitation fund. It's going in interdepartmental transfer to the general fund. That doesn't make any sense to me. You're passing a fee increase, which is gonna be part of the $657,100 increase in revenue. But at the same time, the budget's got a $421,284 increase in interdepartmental transfer. So what you're gonna get out of the increase is 36 cents on the dollar. All at the 300, whatever the increase was, $300,000 or something, 64% of that sanitation is not gonna get. It goes back to this old problem that I've hammered on before, the interdepartmental transfers are just getting out of whack. Interdepartmental transfer to the general fund from proprietary funds, this year in the budget increase $1,238,557 compared to last year. If we go back and compare it to 2024, we've had a 28% increase in just 2 years. Transferring for budget for 2026 is 23% of the general fund revenue. Hammered on this before, the Texas Municipal League, the TML, says 7% ought to be a reasonable transfer. We're doing 23%, more than 3 times what the Texas Municipal League is. Another way to measure reasonableness is to transfer as percent of revenue. The Texas Supreme Court in San Antonio ISD versus City of San Antonio define a reasonable increase or a reasonable withdrawal in interdepartmental transfer of 14%. City of Austin is a good example. They set the city council, you guys, we're in the City of Austin, set the rate that they can IDT. Doesn't depend on the city manager, doesn't depend on the finance person, the council decides. In Austin, it's 8.2% on water utility. Guess what ours is? 24%. 3 times what Austin is, as determined by our city council. There's a real problem that I've got. Budget for City Hall, if you look at the budget, broken down in the general fund between general operations, police, fire, public safety, parks and rec, library, et cetera. One for general operations, which is the City Hall, the budget is $8,390,687 for running this house right here. That's a 29% increase over 3 years ago. Budget for IDTs is $7,678,187. There's 2 numbers you can write down. The budget for City Hall is $8,396,087. The budget for interdepartmental transfers is $7,678,187. Guess what? Interdepartmental transfers are funding 92% of City Hall. Now, I've heard both Todd and Beverly advocate what we're doing is allocating fixed costs. We take the fixed costs of running this house right here and allocate it out to the other entities. They're allocating 92% of the City Hall is applicable to water, sewer, and sanitation. Holy count it, guys. That's hilarious. There is no way. Y'all can think about this. What they're doing is allocating 92% of the cost of running this house right here. They're putting all the burden, 92% of the burden, on water, sewer, and sanitation. That is ridiculous. I don't think anybody with common sense could. You don't even have to study allocation,
Sammy,
fixed overhead allocation.
I gave you way over 3 minutes. I said I've given you way over 3 minutes.
Only over 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a suggestion. I would like you guys to at least explore the possibility of getting some outside counsel as a consultant to explore this problem.
Thank you, Sammy, very much. Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming. That concludes this afternoon's meeting. God bless the great city of Nacogdoches, Texas.